Wondering how you can become better at running your business? Entrepreneurship can be stressful. There's too much to do and not enough time. If you're isolated in your daily decisions, have no fear. Success and balance are possible. Welcome to the Small Business Answer Man podcast, where you master the art of running a successful business using practical advice from experts who want to help you succeed. Now, here's your host, Gary Wilbers.
Welcome. We're glad to have you again for another great podcast. I'm telling you, we are building this third quarter with information for you to really handle. How can you take the 6P business owner formula and really take it forward in your business? Because you remember those 6Ps are people, promotion, pricing, productivity, profit, and processes. And I love sharing you different guests in each one of those different areas to make you think in your business, because those 6Ps are what at the end of the day makes your business successful. And we've seen some challenges the third quarter, a slowing of economy. But the thing is, you as a business owner have to change your mindset and tell yourself that you're going to make yourself successful by what you're doing. And it's your actions that will allow you to do that. So today, I think I've got one of those people. He's a business owner. He's an entrepreneur. He's going to share from his life experiences to help us in that. And Ron, would you mind sharing with them what problem will you help our Small Business Answer Man podcast listeners solve today?
So my superpower is cold outreach. I talk to strangers for a living. So I'm going to show you how to do that without having to experience any of the rejection of cold calling or anything like that. You'll reach out to strangers, but you'll only talk to those who are interested in your products and services.
So this really comes into that sales area, which I consider in that P formula of the pricing side of it that's so important. And today we've got with us Ron Story Jr. He was born and raised in East St. Louis, Illinois. He started his first business as a kid, collecting and recycling aluminum cans so that he could buy the toys he wanted. That drive to solve a problem in order to get the things that he wants continues today, just on a larger scale. Ron's mission is to help people become financially independent without sacrificing everything to do it. He helps entrepreneurs get booked on podcast and speaking gigs with pitchdb.com and book sales appointments at 5contacts.com. Ron, it is great to have you on the podcast. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
I'm so excited to share this because I think in the sales arena, when we're talking about pricing, as I had to have it be a P, Ron. I couldn't say sales because that's not a P. In our pricing method that's there, this is one of them that for a lot of business owners, they struggle with, is in this area of sales and getting the contacts. And as we've seen a little bit of the economy slowing a little bit, what they can do to really have that cold outreach to be able to do it. And I will tell you, for a lot of people, number one, they just won't even get started. So what would you share with us? How do I get started really in this cold outreach realm, and what got you going in this business?
Well, the first thing that I had to do was to change my mindset around outreach, right? So nowadays we hear two different categories. We'll hear outbound and inbound, right? So we hear this inbound lead generation and outbound lead generation. But my thought process, the conclusion I've come to is that they're the same, because you can't have inbound without first broadcasting something. So even if you put a blog post on your website, that's a broadcast that will generate an inbound lead. Just like a cold email out to someone, or a phone call, or a radio ad, or a billboard, those are outbound broadcasts that will generate inbound responses. So if you understand that everything you're doing is already outbound, it kind of relieves some of the pressure of, man, I don't want to be icky. I don't want to be the greasy car salesman. No, everything starts with an outbound introduction. If you didn't talk to strangers, you wouldn't have gotten your first customer, right? So that's where I normally would start. It's just, how do we think about it differently? But after that, how do I automate it to get rid of the parts that I hate, right? So that's what we want to talk about today. How do you automate the outbound so that you get rid of the parts you hate, whether that's running Facebook ads or cold email or whatever. We want to automate the good parts.
Well, let's just go there then with automation. How can that help us and really allow us to really get more consistent in our effort? Because I think that becomes one of the challenges for small business owners.
Yep. I think the first thing is once you set up the system, don't turn it off. A lot of small business owners, their biggest thing is they start and stop. So they're sputtering the entire time. They run Facebook ads for a few weeks, they get some leads, and then they stop it and they say, okay, I need to fix this part. And then they start again, right? And the starting and stopping is just stopping the momentum of what they already have going. So when it comes to what we do, which is reach out to people via email, we like to just keep it going. We can throttle it down, but we tell our clients never turn it off, right? Just fix it on the fly, fix the plane while you're flying it, right? Because if you get in the habit of starting and stopping, it causes a huge issue in the morale of your team, but also in the consistency of your lead flow.
Well, I think sometimes what worries people is with cold outreach, they really don't understand the benefits that it do and that consistency that you're talking about there. Can you share with us, Ron, what it really does for the company when they have that consistent effort of outreach that they're going after their clients?
100%. So the reason why I like to start, if I'm in any business and we're starting a marketing campaign, we usually want to start with cold conversations first. And the reason being is that I get to have a conversation with someone and find out what their real reason for not buying my product is, or I get to find out what the reason that they bought the product was. So if I can understand those two things, now whenever I do an ad campaign or Facebook marketing or anything like that, I already know the pain points that I'm going to be solving, right? So what I would encourage everyone to do is don't think of it as this boogeyman, right? Think of it as, okay, this is an experiment that we're running to test a hypothesis, right? If a scientist runs an experiment and he's testing a hypothesis and his hypothesis is proven false, that doesn't make him a bad scientist, right? It just means that his prediction was wrong. A lot of business owners take marketing plans and outreach plans and different ideas and they personalize it so that they feel like, well, if the person said no, they don't like me. No, it has nothing to do with you. It's just they didn't like what you were offering at that time, so make an adjustment and then go back out to the marketplace with it. So to wrap it kind of up a little bit, what we do is around cold email. So we reach out to strangers via email. No, it's not spam. If you're reaching out on a B2B conversation, you can eliminate the idea that that's spam because legally it's not, right? So you have the right to reach out to business owners about a business proposition. You don't have the right to reach out to consumers with cold email. That is spam. Just like we have the do not call list, spam is basically the do not email list, right? But no business can say, add me to the do not call list. It's designed to protect consumers, not designed to protect businesses. So that's the one thing that I always like to encourage people is that doing cold outreach via email is not illegal. It's how every business is built. They just don't talk about it, right? All of the big software companies are doing cold outreach to build their companies. If it's in a business setting.
And allows you in that B2B realm to be able to touch a lot of people, be able to let them know about the products. Are you able to kind of with that cold email, be able to get that to the point of where when they're sending it, kind of to their type of targeted clients, just like this podcast is for the small business answer man. And, I have a mastermind group that I do. So we use me as an example here is, can we get it really targeted to that business owner? So I'm talking to that individual because I don't want to talk to the corporate exec because this mastermind is not for them. And I want to solve problems for small businesses because that's what I know. Can we get it that dialed in to be able to get to those type of clients?
Of course. Nowadays, with all of the different data sources that are out there, you can target your audience better than ever before. You can pick job title, you can pick how many years they've been in the business or how many years they've been in that job position. You can pick location, affinity groups. Are they a part of this group on LinkedIn or this group on Facebook? You can target all the way down to age, location, gender, all of those things, even race in some cases. Even though the companies will tell you you can't, right? You can check if they've been in the news recently, if they've posted online recently, what credit cards they use. You can target your audience all the way down on hundreds of different variables, right? So you know that you're talking to the right person. That's what makes the difference. Getting the right message in front of the right person at the right time, right? So I choose to use email because I used to be a financial advisor and we would cold call people. You know, I started as a financial advisor in May of 2000, 23 years ago, and we would cold call people. And the problem with cold calling is that the person has to be available. They have to answer the call and they have to want to talk to you, right? And if they don't want to do those three things, they usually scream at you on the other side. Who are you? Why are you calling me? Blah, blah, blah. Well, I hated that. So in my new systems, I was like, well, how do I get rid of that rejection and only talk to the people that are interested? Oh, what if I sent them an email? If they don't want to talk to me, they're too busy to write back a griping response. So they'll just ignore the email. But those who are interested, they'll take the time and say, yeah, Ron, let's set up a time to talk. I've been thinking about this. I've had this problem. Thank you for emailing me this, right? Totally different response than when I was cold calling.
Now that becomes the key, and it becomes, some of it is that top of mind. You know, they talk about TOMA, top of mind awareness. That's where you want your marketing. The only thing is, I'm going to be I don't have this, it's not my real question, but I want to kind of play the devil's advocate. But those people that say, yeah, but you know, email's kind of dead now, you know, what would you tell people there? Got a good laugh out of him there. Y'all can't see that, but he's laughing right now before he responds. So I'll let you go ahead and take it over.
Well, so last year I sent 7,800 meetings for clients via email. It's so dead. That's why 7,800 people replied back to us and asked for meetings, right? So one of the things that I was always encouraged by my mentor was never to argue for my weakness, right? He says, hey, if you have this fear, don't argue for the fear. Go forward and let the data determine whether you should keep doing it or not, right? So that's my challenge to everyone who has doubts about this. Let the data determine your actions. Don't let your emotions get involved because of your own prejudice towards doing it this way or doing it that way, or your past experience. Get with someone who can help you to do it right, and then let the data determine whether you should keep doing it or not. That's the fair thing to do in business. Run the experiment.
Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back. Okay, excellent. Any direction you want to go specifically? I was thinking about maybe going about how you do it. Are you comfortable with that? And that way, ultimately, I don't want you pitching your company, but what we're going to do is at the end, what you actually do, and then you can kind of share that, how you do it with clients and stuff, if you're comfortable with that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I wanted to set the stage first because without context, it makes it really hard to understand why we do it. So that's what I was trying to do in that first 2 minutes.
No, perfect. Okay. And now back to the show. Well, Ron, I think that's so important because the key becomes of really setting the stage. Now, I think the challenge is we have some business owners. Okay, I hear you. This is not a process that I've used in the past, and I'm not really sure how to get started. So share with us kind of how you use the system to really kind of set them up and ultimately to really be able to get the responses, be able to get the appointments, and ultimately be able to get some new clients.
Yep. So if you were to go into Google, the first thing you need is a lead source, right? So if you go into Google and you typed in cold email is what we call it, right? If you typed in cold email leads or LinkedIn leads, anything like that, there will be companies like Apollo and Clearbit and all of these companies that will sell you data. ZoomInfo, they'll sell you email addresses based on your target criteria for your avatar for your business. So that's the first thing you need is a data source. After that, you need a sending platform. Now, there's a big difference between sending 1,000 emails on MailChimp or ActiveCampaign or some type of email marketing platform, right? Because if you put 5,000 emails in there, they're going to send it to 5,000 people within 30 seconds. And Google's going to block that and put you in the spam folder and all of this stuff because they're like, no human would email 5,000 people if they were reaching out personally, right? So you don't want to use an email marketing software. What you want to look for is what we call email sales software, such as Woodpecker, Mailshake, Outreach.com, Outplay, Breakcold. There's a lot of email sales outreach softwares. Now, let me show you the significant difference. With MailChimp, you're going to send a blast. That's marketing. Those people have opted into your email. With the systems that I just mentioned, you're sending, the automation will send one email at a time every timed interval. So you can put in, I want to send one email every 7 minutes, right? So now Google thinks it's a human sending that email, right? So you need a data source. The second thing you need is a cold email sending platform, right? So that's the second thing. After that, you just need to write your email and send them. I mean, that's pretty much, that's kind of like the two-step process. You need data and you need the right mechanism to automate that, right? Now, all of those, some other people, if you look it up online, they're going to tell you, oh, well, you need to clean the data. A lot of those systems have data validation already built in. So I don't even mention that anymore because it's normally built into the platform because they don't want you going into spam or anything like that, or in the promotions folder. So you need a data source that's valid and you need a proper sending platform, not MailChimp or Constant Contact. That's email marketing. We're doing email sales. Significant difference.
Yeah, that's a big difference. And I really like the approach that you shared there because I think so many people think when they send a blast out. Now, if you've got a current database, we're not saying not to market to them because if they know you, they buy from you, you can have that type of database. But what we're talking about is where you're trying to get new clients and new business in. Now you're truly doing it with the sales side of things and really trying to pick up business from that end. And I guess one of the things I'm curious as, if you don't mind sharing, and you don't have to give the real name, but if you would maybe share a story of a client that you've helped and the success, that you've created, because you've said last year alone, you made 7,800 appointments. What type of companies, and I'm sure it's across the board that you can help, but they got to be B2B is what you're looking for.
Yep. So we primarily work with B2B companies that have already done some type of advertising that understand their customer cost of acquisition, right? So if I'm selling a $2,000 product and I know for every $200 in marketing we spend, I get a new customer, we want someone who understands their metric at that point because that way we can measure if we're being successful, right? So we primarily work with B2B companies. It doesn't matter what industry, but they have to have experience and understand their metrics, right? And the reason why that's important for us, because we want to know if we're doing a good job, right? But anybody who's selling B2B should be using cold outreach. Let me explain to you why. I'm going to ask you a question. Gary, do you have a marketing list of warm customers that have opted in either to the podcast or to one of your businesses?
Yes.
Okay. When you send out that cold email blast, what is the normal open rate on those emails? When you look in your MailChimp or something like that?
Yeah, it's pretty cold, as less than 2 to 3%.
No, for your list of people that have opted in.
Oh, opted in, yeah, that's higher. Yeah, that's
what would your opted in percentage be?
Probably in the 30% range.
Right? So that's great. Industry average for opted in emails is right around 20%. So you're at 30, you're outperforming the industry by 50%, right? If we were on YouTube and we had a visual of this, I would share my screen and show you that our average for cold is above 50% for open rates, right? So it's above 50% for open to strangers. The people that like you don't open your emails at that rate, right? But we are able to get individuals to open at a higher rate because when you send that blast, Google or Microsoft will automatically put you in the promotions folder. So they're going to hide you to begin with, right? But since we're sending individual emails, we actually land in the inbox, right? So that's one of the significant differences. I have campaigns where we have sent out emails and had an 80% open rate. One of our clients, as you mentioned, you wanted me to share one, is Pamela. Pamela Ellis is a great lady. She helps college students high school students to get college scholarships, right? So her target audience isn't the high school student because they don't have any money. Her target audience is the parent of the high school student. So what she targets are the affinity groups such as Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, National Charity League, groups like that that have these congregations of parents that want their kids to go to college. So we reach out to them, set meetings up for her to go and do presentations inside of those monthly meetings for Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or whatever. 1 out of 3 people that we emailed responded back to her.
Wow.
30% response rate on around 80 to 90% open rates on those emails, right? Imagine 1 out of every 3 people you reach out to gets a response. I remember this campaign vividly. We sent 482 emails in 1 month and she got 161 responses. 482 emails out, 161 responses.
Wow.
Yeah, from cold to strangers. These people had never heard of her before, right? So on average, what we see is 1 meeting request per 20 emails sent when the campaign is dialed in. That's incredible for a universal average for what we did last year.
Well, it makes sense because if you've got a good product and it becomes that top of mind, something that's in there, plus you're sending them to the right people and you're very targeted. And like you said, it's really a one-on-one side of it. Just think if you tried to call 500 of those, Ron, that you talked about earlier, you would have probably got maybe 2 on the line.
Exactly, not 161 of them, right?
Yeah.
So, and they get to read the email at their time. A lot of people, we all read emails at home after work hours, right? But I can only call you in between 8 and 5 o'clock while you're at the office. So you see, there's just some advantages. And then she didn't have to deal with any of the rejection. The people that didn't want to talk to her, they just didn't reply to the email. So if we look at I have 5 of your Ps. I can't remember the 6th one, but I remember the 5. Number 1, we found the right people, right? The second thing is that if you have a great product that you're offering, you're going to be okay, right? Because you want to solve a pain for the person. The third thing is that we're giving you the process. Find the data and then purchase the automation software to do it. If you do those things, you'll be able to talk about your pricing and be able to have sales meetings in order to make more profits. What's the 6th one?
With you kind of hit at promotion and productivity. That executing the productivity is getting the systems in place.
Exactly, right? So if you could do those things, you hit all of the 6 Ps that Gary's always preaching just by setting up this system, right? With none of the rejection. I'll tell you a funny story, and this is great. I think a great way to kind of tie it all together. When I had been a financial advisor for 2 weeks, okay, back in May of 2000. If you know what happened in June of 2000, if you're a basketball fan, the NBA draft happens in June of every year. And from East St. Louis, there was a kid at the time named Darius Miles, played for the LA Clippers, went on, played like 12 years in the NBA. Well, he hadn't been drafted yet, and we went to the same high school. So I'm calling everybody in the city like, hey, I'm a new financial advisor. I want to work with Darius. So someone gives me his phone number and I call his mom. Now he's still in high school. So they give me his mom's number. I call his mom, right? And his mom answers the call and she's a wonderful lady, right? This is all positive, by the way. And she says, and I go into my little spiel and she says, who gave you my number? And then she went into like 5 minutes of just screaming at me. And I'm like, holy crap. But I had practiced this conversation in my office so many times with my colleagues. And I said, hey, the thing we practiced was if she starts screaming at you, just say, hey, you're scaring me. Right. And I'm like, well, she's definitely screaming. I guess this is the time for me to say it. I let her get all of her stuff out. And I said, you know what? You're scaring me. Miss Ethel, I apologize. You're scaring me. And she says, baby, I'm sorry. She turned into the most nicest person on earth. And she says, baby, so many people have been bothering us. He's not even in the NBA yet, but everybody's calling us. Everybody wants us to do something. How'd you get my information? And I told her, she says, oh, I trust them. Just send me something in the mail. Here's my address. Send it to the post office because we're not in the city at this point. Send it to the post office and we'll get it taken care of. We'll consider it. Holy crap, like that was a great thing. But imagine all the people that were like her that screamed at me that never set up a meeting.
Right.
So Darius, if you ever hear this, I want to make sure he understands. This isn't meant as a slight to your mom. I wish her the best, but this is just a part of my experience, and it made me the man who I am today. So I'm grateful to you and your mom for the opportunity to even pitch my services at the time.
Yeah, and for a lot of people, when they get that early in their career, they would stop. And that's the thing, what we're saying is we've got a different way to do it. And that's what I love bringing the different people on. As I told you, Ron, I heard you on another podcast and I said, I need to get Ron on my podcast because I want you to think differently in your business. And that's the thing with sales. There's ways to increase that. We talked about that at the beginning. The economy may be slowing some, but there's new ways to attack and go after business. And as Ron has shared with us, and I know personally too, email is not dead. People maybe get a lot of email, but the only thing is, if you create that interest that's there, and especially with cold email, they don't know, and it's one-to-one, you're going to see people open it. And that becomes the key. Now, will everyone respond? No. But if they're in need of your services, that's when they'll respond.
Yep. So I like to talk about it this way. I have these on my desk, a box of vitamins, right? And usually most people, when they talk about their business, they talk about it like a multivitamin. We can do this, we can do that, we can do this, we can do that. If I take one of these vitamins, I don't know which one of these ingredients is actually working, right? But if I took an Advil, I know that it's only ibuprofen in it, so I'm only gonna get that thing. So when you're doing any type of marketing, be very specific about being a painkiller, not being a multivitamin. Be a painkiller. Know that you're solving a voiced pain, a confessed pain of the customer, and you call that out in your outreach, they will respond saying, yes, my arm is broken, right? There's no doubt. If you had a broken arm right now, Gary, would you not know it?
Yeah.
No, you know whether your arm is broken or not. It's like obvious. So you want to call out those pains, right? So that's one of the things that we figured out. Call out the pains and just be consistent. You'll be fine. If you just keep doing it, you'll get better. And that's the only promise. Consistency will always produce better results over the long term.
Well, I appreciate you sharing your expertise with our audience, Ron. I know you've got, as far as if they want to check you out and information, great website at ronstoryjr.com. We'll have that on show notes, but also you kind of have a call to action with your company, PitchDB. Will you share with them what you're willing to do for our clients here? And we'll have it in show notes for them to be able to access it.
Of course. So if you want to try out this cold outreach process, I will reach out to 500 people for you at no cost to show you how it works, right? But you have to follow some basic rules. Number one, be reaching out B2B. If you're trying to sell something to an individual, a diet plan or pharmaceutical product, we can't help you with that unless you're trying to get distribution into bigger stores, right? But so as long as it's B2B and you're willing to be consistent and work at it, we'll help you get those first responses, right? So that will cost you nothing. We'll reach out to 500 of your targeted audiences. We'll go find them. We'll put it into our software and we'll send it. And if at the end you want to do it on your own, we'll help you to set it up. But there's no excuse to not try it because that's what we do. So if you go to pitchdb.com/calendar, you'll get access to my calendar and you can pick up a quick 15-minute introduction call. And at worst, you make a new friend, right? At best, you get someone that'll reach out to 500 people, a free salesperson. We will reach out to 500 people on behalf of your business to attempt to set you appointments.
Well, I appreciate you sharing that because I think it gives them a way to see, number one, how it's done, but also learn. And then you can decide, because Ron has the expertise, you may want to keep that and have that capability there, because that's how you're going to change things in your business, is increasing that sales, and that pricing in your business is about constant contact that we've talked about throughout. And I love the one-on-one concept, especially if you're in business to business. And right now that's critical in our business because with things changing, we've gone through a pretty long spell of good business, but we've got to change how we're doing things. And that's what I want small business owners to realize is they've got to make that change themselves. So again, go out and we'll have all that in show notes. And if you want to check out some more information, check his website out, ronstoreyjr.com. And again, Ron, give them that call to action where they can go to.
pitchdb.com, PITCH as in a baseball pitch, pitchdb as in database.com/calendar. That's going to get you to my calendar. That's my personal calendar link. Pick an introduction time and we'll just have a conversation to see if it even makes sense for us to help you. If we can help you, 500 people I will reach out to on your behalf, cost you nothing, no obligation, no secret upsells on the backside, just to prove to you that Gary Wilbers is the small business answer man, and he has the answer if you have cold outreach problems. We can help you.
Well, I know one. I'm going to do it, Ron, because I'm going to get on that calendar and stuff because I'm interested, because I'm trying to reach those business owners, and it's true business to business. And I think I've got a solution for them that they need. And we've been challenged in this area. So that's one reason I always get people on my podcast is, you get to learn from them and then decide on that part of it. But that's why we do podcast also, is to be able to learn from that side. So please check out Ron's information. Ron, before I let you go, and we're kind of got to wrap up, is what would be the best business advice or tip you would give the business owners?
No one has ever died because of cold outreach. I've looked it up online. I've never seen Ron's story. He was a great man, but he reached out to the wrong person, right? So that your biggest fear is alleviated. Just get started. Give it a try. Don't attach the outcome to your personal ego. Treat it as a science experiment, and you'll be surprised whether what you'll learn, whether your hypothesis is proven true or false. It doesn't mean you're a bad business owner. It just means that you experimented and you learned something.
Well, we've helped you today about really thinking about your pricing, which is really all about your sales and your business, but also the other P that comes in there is that increases your profit. And in the third quarter, we may be looking at that. How can we increase our profit? Because it becomes on that outreach that you're doing. So let's think differently in our business. My challenge or an opportunity I would give you today is let's go out there and let's create a system in place. And Ron's offered as a pretty darn good deal that he will help you walk through that, think through that, even reach out the first 500 to really learn from that process. And I think that becomes the key, because that drives more sales into our business. So Ron, I really appreciate your time together, and it's been great to share with our audience the expertise that you have.
Hey, I'm glad I can help. If you have any questions, hit me up at Ron Storey Jr. on all platforms. I'm there. I'm always answering questions about cold outreach. So hit me up.
Super. Well, I want to leave you with this thought of really, what are you going to do to generate sales in your business? What do you need to do differently? Let's really think about that as we go in this third and finish off of this third and fourth quarter. And really that will carry us through to next year. Instead of worrying about the economy, let's create things and make things happen. That's what business owners do. That's what entrepreneurs do. They see a problem and they go solve it. Right now in your business, if you've got a sales problem, you need to go solve it. And we've helped you with some of the answers that Ron's given us today. So let's come back next week for another great guest. Remember, like and share our podcast, and we'll see you back here next week. Make it a great day. Thanks for joining us.
That's all the time we have for this week. To continue your journey, head over to smallbusinessanswerman.biz to access the tools and resources mentioned in today's show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe and share it with someone who would benefit from listening. That's smallbusinessanswerman.biz. Until next time, remember, when you find the right solutions, your business grows and you get your time back.